Hey guys, so this is going to be a very special video, but it's also going to be a very unscripted video. So, if you would like to skip to the announcement alluded to in the title, click the timestamp in the description, otherwise get comfortable. Today was my 25th birthday. I had pizza, so by all accounts it was a very good day, and this is the 25th video I'm uploading to my channel. And it's more or less the anniversary video for my channel because I started it on May 25th of last year. So that's 325s, and I don't think that means anything, but I felt the need to point it out. So, when I started this channel, I was in a very different place than where I am now, but a very similar place to where I had been the 6 years before that, and the only thing that really had changed was that I knew what AvPD was. I had spent so many years just Googling the same things, trying to figure out why I couldn't bear to face the world and why I never seemed to be able to enjoy being around another person, and why I hated myself so much. And finally, somehow I stumbled across AvPD. I don't even remember how. I read so much that day about AvPD, I couldn't discern one thing from another, but over the few months after that, I was able to really just figure out why I'd always been so anxious, and forgive myself a little bit, and know that it wasn't my fault, and know that perhaps someday I could theoretically actually enjoy being around other people. And I just wanted other people with AvPD to be able to feel that way, and there's so little information about it that I felt like I had to make a video, even though I was far from the best ambassador for the disorder. So I did, and I think I did exactly what I wanted to with that video, and if my life had to serve any purpose, that was it. So many people have told me that I've helped them a little bit, and I'm so happy I've been able to do that. And it's extremely painful for me to look back at that video for a lot of reasons. I was not in a good place, but I'll never delete it and I'll never redo it because that pain is important. It lets people who don't have AvPD understand and see the reality of what it's like, and it gives people with AvPD someone to look at who's just like them and know that they're not alone and that their struggles are real. And I feel a similar way about my book. I could do so much better job writing it now, but that's not the point. The point is for it to be as honest as possible, and it's not that I'd be dishonest in writing it now, but I'm such a happier person now. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't be as painful, and it's supposed to be, and I'm very proud of that, though I'll probably never read it again. But I succeeded so much more in the time since then. I got back into treatment. I still have a psychiatrist now. I'm on the waiting list for another therapist, and I did see another therapist for a bit, and I really didn't get anything out of the therapy part of it again, but what I did get out of the experience was that the invalidation that I'd felt so many times before, especially from other doctors, about how my struggles probably weren't really real and I could just get past them. I know now that they are. I've spoken to so many other people that have dealt with the same thing, and I'm never really going to feel invalidated in that same way again, even though it still makes me feel bad when things like that happen. And that's what I really took away from that experience, is that I'm just stronger, and it made me so much more confident. And of course I found antidepressants that work now, and I'm like a new person. So I'm really excited to start the next chapter of my life, and that's not immediately getting a job and being a normal functional person, but I am ready to talk to people again and have friends and have relationships like I've never been able to have. And I've talked about that over my couple previous videos, and one thing in particular I said a couple of videos ago, mostly jokingly, was if any of you guys live in the Athens area, maybe we could start a socially anxious people group. Let me know. Not really expecting that anyone would, because, obviously there's not that many of you, so it's pretty unlikely that one was going to be really close to me, and nobody did message me about that, of course, but I couldn't really get it out of my mind because obviously I've thought for so long, how are you supposed to get over your social anxiety? And all the not anxious people in my life have told me, you're just supposed to socialize and you'll get over it. And of course, those of us with really severe social anxiety know from experience, from 20 years of public school often, that that's just not the case. Um, because people with AvPD have really severe self-esteem issues, and we have extreme tendencies to hyperanalyze people's reactions to us, and life doesn't go perfectly, but when life doesn't go perfectly for us, we see in those imperfections validation that all of our fears about ourselves were true, and that we are really terrible people, and that nobody likes us, and everybody knows that we're bad, and nobody ever will like us. And it sounds obviously like an exaggeration to people who haven't felt that way, but it sticks in our brain forever. Even I'm doing so much better now, but I still think about silly little things that I did a week ago or a month ago or a decade ago, and they still hurt me. And I don't think for a lot of us that it is very helpful to just go out and face the world, and I think it can make it worse. But at the same time, social interactions are not a test you can study for. Like a lot of things in life, you do have to actually practice it to get any better at it. So I thought for the longest time it was a paradox with no answer, but I think the answer is that socially anxious people need to interact with other socially anxious people, because we're so worried that other people are thinking bad things about us, but being around other people that are visibly as anxious as us, and they're telling us that they're as anxious as us, and they're explaining why and how they've experienced that, that's what's going to show us that people really aren't judging us. These people are feeling just as worried as we are, and they're just here like us to try to get past that. So that's why I am announcing that I am starting a local, in-person peer support group in the Athens, Georgia area for people with social anxiety. And I've spent the past 6.5 weeks working very hard to plan this to make sure that it is something that works for socially anxious people, and that it's something that's super awesome and beneficial for us. I've been working super hard, so you can go to avoidendsnow.org to see the website I made. There's a ton of useful, well-formatted information in there, as well as a introductory video if you would rather watch. And this video is certainly not going to be super neat like that content, so I'd recommend you look at that if you're interested. Not only if you're interested in joining, because I know a lot of you here aren't in the area, so this video is really for you guys, which is just talking about how I think this can work and why it can be beneficial, and why social anxiety support groups should be something that are more widespread, and how I'm going to find people for this group. And really, I just want you guys to get it in your brain and hopefully feel a little bit inspired, and maybe some of you will start your own groups at some point, because I really think this is something that is super important, and it's a concept that can work and needs to be discussed. So I do recommend, if you're interested for that reason, that you also check out the website. But I'll talk about it a little bit here too. I'm going to be relatively brief because I didn't write notes, and otherwise it'll be a rambling disaster. But let's get into it. So first off, how are we going to make it work for socially anxious people? Why are there no social anxiety support groups when there are so many other types of support groups? Well, because one, socially anxious people supposedly won't come to a group like this, and two, they supposedly won't benefit because they're too anxious. So let's answer those questions. First off, how are we going to make it work for socially anxious people such that they do come to the event in the first place? The multiple events. So first thing, it's a peer support group. I think it's really important that there is no mental health professional present. I don't know why I said president. It's kind of late. But anyway, there's no mental health professional present because it is only other anxious people in the room, and you can know that everyone is on the same page as you and totally understands, and there is no structure coming from someone that doesn't understand. It is a very unstructured thing. Secondly, we're going to meet in the right place at the right time. We're meeting at the Oconee County Library, and we're going to meet on every other Sunday morning before the library opens. They have agreed that they will give us a key, as they sometimes do for community groups, so that we can meet before the library opens. It is the best possible location at the best possible time, in my opinion. It's a very easy place to get to, pretty low traffic, especially at that day, at that time. Very easy parking lot to turn into and to park in. And yeah, I think it's a great place for the meetings to happen. Another thing that we're going to do is that we're going to have the right amount of people. We're going to start the group after we get between 6 to 8 interested people. And I will talk later in this video about how I'm going to find those people, because obviously it's not just this channel. So I think that range of people will give us enough that it doesn't feel like anyone has to talk for too long or they're getting stared at for too long. there's just a natural conversation bouncing between people, and at the same time, it's not a crowd. So that's really important. And the final thing about this is the way we're going to do introductions. Support groups and things like this usually have the sort of school classroom introductions where it's like everybody gets singled out and introduces themselves 5 minutes after we walk in the room and see each other for the first time. We're not doing that. There's going to be a place on the website where members will be able to introduce themselves to each other. Only other members will be able to see your introduction. You can use any combination of text, photos, and video that you would like to introduce yourself in any way that you would like about anything that you would like, and other members can read it at their own leisure before the meetings actually start. So we'll know each other a little bit coming into the meetings, and there will be no singling out. So next off, why would we want to actually do this? Well, we're going to get a chance to meet other regular people, but at the same time, people that understand what we're going through. That's the basic tenet of it. But at the same time, we're going to talk about anxiety, and we're going to be able to validate each other's anxious experiences by talking about similar experiences that we've had. And really, that's one of the most important things with any support group, but especially with social anxiety, is knowing that there are other people that really understand what you're going through. Because especially with social anxiety, so many people have really told us in our lives that we should be able to just get past it, and we just can't, and we feel so wrong for that. But we're not going to feel like that here. The other thing, though, is that we're going to see the differences between our experiences, and that's going to allow us to see ways that our lives could be different and little strategies we could use to get past our anxiety, because we've all done little things to get past our anxiety that don't seem like much to us but can seem like a whole new perspective to other people. For instance, maybe you were watching my video and you're nodding your head and relating to everything, and then you heard that I was in marching band for a year and you're like, how did he possibly manage to do that? I could never do that. But the thing is, I can talk about how I managed to do that and the positives that came from that as well as the negatives. And you can do the same things with your experiences. I've had the same thing where I'll watch somebody's video with AvPD and I'll be like, yep, totally relate to everything. And then they'll be like, yeah, and I had a girlfriend, and I'll be like, I could have never done that. I don't even kind of understand. But that's the sort of thing that we can talk about, and you can explain how your experiences have been different such that you were super anxious, but these are things you managed to do. These are ways you did benefit from that and enjoy that, but at the same time, here were the problems you had with it. So I think that'll be a really cool experience for us. But most of all, we're just going to be able to make friends with each other and show each other that struggling with social interaction is worth it for this reason that we're having right now, because we're having a nice time, we're making friends, blah, blah, blah. And I will mention there will be snacks, so that's a great reason to come as well. And to that end, I kind of want to mention what my role as the coordinator is, because this is a peer group. There is no one leading it, really. I am the de facto leader because I started it. But really, I'm doing 3 things as the coordinator. 1, I figured out the location, and I'm going to schedule the meetings for us so that we're able to have them. 2, I'm going to bring snacks. And 3, I'm going to plan conversation starters such that whenever people don't have something to talk about on their minds immediately and it gets quiet and awkward for a minute, I can say something that hopefully gets everybody talking again, and it doesn't have to be about that. The subject can immediately change again. I don't care. Again, we don't have things we have to talk about. The whole point is that I'm just going to try my best to be prepared so that I can help make sure the conversation keeps flowing, since, I'm in charge by default. But I'll mention that, of course, I'm not a natural leader. I'm going to be super awkward about it. I'm going to do my best. But the whole point here is for everyone to be talking and, feel like we're growing through that. So yeah. And let's see, what else did I want to mention? I guess mostly it's just about what's the actual content of the meetings. Well, like I said, there is no real structure. There aren't things we have to talk about. I've written quite a few example subjects of things you could bring up about your anxiety, your depression, struggles in your life, things you want to achieve in your life, blah, blah, blah. And you can read about that more. But really, I think we'll have no shortage of things we want to talk about, because we're people that don't necessarily talk to people a lot. And once we get a little more comfortable, that's exactly what we will want to do. That's really what I want to do. So I don't think we'll have struggles with that. But like I said, to the extent that we do, I'm going to have those conversation starters prepared, just to get us talking again, not like okay, so today we're talking, not like that at all, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over in this video. Super rambly, but I think I got to the main points. Oh, right, the main thing I did want to talk about, how am I actually going to get people to join the group? Because even if you're sold on this idea and you think it sounds great, you're like, okay, well, there's still 800 of us on this YouTube channel, and none of us live in the same 5 miles of the world, so how are we going to make it work? So I want to talk a little bit about how I'm going to spread the word. That is the next part of this challenge, because my number one goal was to get all of my preparations and my website ready by my birthday, and I've missed that by about 15 minutes or so because it's now the next day, but pretty close. And so I'm going to spend the next week, 2 weeks, however long it takes to do the main ideas I have for getting the word out. And of course, after that, it will be a waiting game, and I will be very patient, and no matter what, I'm going to take as long as it takes to make this happen, because I really think it is the way forward for me, and I think it can be for anyone else who's interested as well. So, some of the ideas I have, posting about it online, of course. I think that's a really good way to find socially anxious people in general. There are a couple subreddits I'm going to post it to. There are a couple other forums that I'm going to post it to. There are some Facebook page ideas I have. There are a couple newspapers in the area that I can post things like this to for free, and as well as ones I can paid advertise in. We'll see exactly what I decide to do. I'm not certain about all of that, but I've got plenty of ideas. And I also have a directory of a bunch of clubs at the University of Georgia, which is right around the corner here, and I'm probably going to reach out to a bunch of the clubs that might have some somewhat socially anxious people in them, and they might have some anxious friends as well, and see if I can spread the word. And, we're just looking for 6 to 8 people. It shouldn't be too hard, right? I'm sure it will be hard, but I'm going to make it happen. So those are some of the ideas. I'm also going to put up a bunch of flyers locally. I've got a bunch of places in mind that, according to information I've read online, supposedly let you post flyers, and my sister's going to help me hopefully next weekend, because obviously the socializing aspect of can we put a flyer in here is going to be very difficult, so I'm going to have some help with that. And I got a lot of ideas for places I'm going to put those, and you can see the flyer design on the website. I've also got cards and a bunch of other stuff you can put on social media, etc. So if you do want to help spread the word about my group, I would really appreciate it. But of course, I know, again, you don't necessarily have a popular social media account that people in Athens look at. But at the same time, I think this is just a concept that's really important. So if you're interested, you can look at that stuff. But yeah, so I've got physical places in mind. I'm going to post stuff. I've got ideas for some mental health professionals I'm going to reach out to. Obviously, people that have treated me that I trust and I think might be interested in hearing about this and could potentially help us find some people. Just, people that they might mention it to or give a card to or whatever. Who knows if they'll actually want to do that for obvious reasons. It might not necessarily be something they want to do, but it'll be worth telling them about it anyway, I think. And I also have one bigger idea that I don't want to talk about yet, because I don't want to look like a clown in case it doesn't pan out, but I think that will help as well, and I will certainly talk about it once it does look like it may work. So anyway, those are some of the ideas and the reasoning behind it and all of that. I'm super excited about this. I've put a lot of work and a lot of thought into making sure that it's going to be something super awesome, and once I find the people, I'm going to make it happen, and it may go terribly, and that's okay. I'm going to do it. But I don't think it will go terribly. I think it's going to be awesome, and I don't know. I think this is the sort of thing that, we're always looking for when we're talking about, doctors don't necessarily know enough about AvPD. It's understudied. What are we supposed to do? Well, I think this is one of the things we're supposed to do. I think we're supposed to talk to each other. We've been doing it online through channels like mine and a whole bunch of other people's, of course, and we need to just do it in real life. We need to make it happen, and I'm not a confident leader kind of person that wants to go around posting flyers and posting a website. I've been doing web design for over a decade, but I'm not especially good at it, and I'm terrified of the fact that I actually posted something online and I bought an actual domain name and all this. Two, actually, because if you go to .com, it'll reroute to the .org. But anyway, I'm not the kind of person that wants to do this. I think all of you guys know that, but I have to, and I'm going to make it happen. And I hope that I can be a little inspirational to some of you guys, and you will do the same things. And like I said, I've done a lot of takes of this video, but if any of you do have any interest whatsoever or any thoughts about potentially starting a group like this in your area, I would love to hear about it, and if there's anything I can do to help you, I would love to do that. So yeah. And if you're interested in joining, of course, reach out to me, check out the website, or email me at jake@avoidendsnow.org, or contact me by any other way you can find on this channel. Comment, email me at my Gmail that's on the About section, all that good stuff. Anyway, I think I've said everything I want to say in this video. It's my longest video in quite a while. I think it's worth it. I think this is a really cool project, and I'm so happy I was more or less able to get it set up by my 25th birthday, because, you know, it's just like a kind of a story of this year. Last year was getting out of my funk and getting ready, and this year I'm hoping to talk to some people, and I hope it's other anxious people, because that will be a lot easier. I hope you agree. So yeah, anyway, I would love to hear anything you guys think about this. Regardless of whether you want to join or start your own group, there's no pressure. I'm not gonna bug you like, are you starting your group yet? I'm not like that, you know that. But anyway, that's about all I've got to say. I'm gonna stop rambling now. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video, though I don't know exactly when that will be or what it will be about. That kind of depends on a lot of things. I'm certainly very busy with this project, and I'm very excited about it. So yeah, thanks guys, see you later.